or other foreign doctors for that matter available. In this downtown hospital, 75-year-old Imen Fortune, who is virtually blind, waits patiently for her turn to have her cataracts removed.
I used to sell food and work, but now I am helpless without my sight.
It's a quick and simple procedure, but one which 51,000 Haitians who've had their sight returned by Cuban optometrists could not have afforded in their wildest dreams. It's all part of Cuba's medical missions program, started by Fidel Castro in 1998, a Cuban foreign policy move aimed at spreading goodwill, not just from, but towards the communist country. Whatever the political motivation, Cuba's long-term commitment here has made all the difference to millions of Haitians, accustomed to seeing most international aid organizations come and go. Lucia Newman, AlJazeera, Mimbele, Haiti.
A diver in Australia is presumed dead after being attacked by two great white sharks. Search and rescue teams in the South Australian town of Coffin Bay have all but given up hope of finding 49-year-old Peter Clarkson. The boat's skipper watched the attack unfold and is being treated for shock. Great whites can reach a length of 6 meters and weigh 2 tons. This is Al Jazeera, and these are the stories making the headlines. Funerals are underway in Bahrain for protesters killed in Thursday's violent crackdown in Manama. The city remains under police lockdown. Further demonstrations are underway in Libya after a number of people died in a crackdown on protests. Human Rights Watch is reporting that the death toll could be as many as 24. Crowds are gathering in Cairo to celebrate a week since Egyptian President Mubarak's departure. The groups that sparked the 18-day revolt that led to Mubarak's downfall are calling this Friday of victory and continuation. The anti-government protests in Yemen are also expected to continue as people rally following Friday prayers. And the arrest hasn't been confined to the capital Sana'a. Similar rallies are being held in the southern port city of Aden. Chaos ensued on Thursday when police opened fire on nearly 3,000 protesters. Officials said 3 people were killed and dozens wounded. Meanwhile, the country's influential ulama, or religious leaders, have called for a unity government to be formed. Police in Afghanistan say 9 people are dead after a bomb blast in the eastern city of Khost. A further 30 people were injured in the attack, carried out by a suicide bomber with a car of explosives. Most of the victims are civilians. The Taliban has claimed responsibility. Polls are now open in Uganda for the country's presidential and parliamentary elections. The late arrival of election materials delayed the vote, but election officials say polling stations will stay open longer to make up for time. Some 14 million Ugandans are registered to take part, but President Yoweri Museveni is confident of a landslide win to extend his 25 years in office.
Why are you so agitated that there must be change? The economy is growing very well. We have brought peace. Education is expanding. So, what are your worries?
A Beijing court has upheld the conviction and 8-year sentence given to a Chinese-born American geologist for stealing state secrets. Xu Feng was charged in July for obtaining information on the Chinese oil industry. His appeal lawyer had argued that the information acquired about the oil industry was widely available. The US ambassador to China was in court and urged China to release Xu. Of course, there'll be more news at the top of the hour next. It's Riz Khan.
Hello and welcome. I'm Anand Naidu, sitting in for Riz Khan. Has Pakistan's blasphemy law become a political tool in the hands of religious conservatives? The controversial legislation hands down the death penalty to anyone convicted of insulting the Prophet Muhammad. Some critics want the law scrapped, saying it's become heavily politicized and is also used to persecute liberals and religious minorities. But supporters have taken to the streets defending the blasphemy law, saying it is an integral part of Pakistan's religious ethos. The bitter and often angry debate turned deadly last month when the governor of Punjab province, Salman Taseer, was shot dead by his security guard. Taseer was an outspoken critic of the blasphemy law, and his assassin, Mumtaz Qadri, said he killed the governor for his position. Today we ask, does the blasphemy law have a place in today's Pakistan? Remember, you can send us an SMS or email with your questions and comments on the show. Joining us now from Lahore is journalist and writer Shabana Taseer. She is the daughter of the assassinated Governor Salman Taseer. We also have Dr. Amjad Waheed, who teaches Islamic thought and civilization at the University of Management and Technology in Lahore. And with us from Islamabad is well-known human rights activist Asma Jahangar. She is also president of Pakistan's Supreme Court Bar Association. Welcome to all of you to the show. Asma Jahangar, let me start with you. I was wondering if you'd give us some idea of the scope of this law, because we recently heard that even a schoolboy who wrote something which was deemed objectionable during an examination was questioned by the authorities. So how widely defined is this law?
You know, it has a huge intimidating effect, and the victims are large enough. You said that this is being used now as a tool to oppress liberal Muslims, and in fact also people of other sects that you don't agree with. But the reason why it was precisely put into law was to provide a tool to these people. After all, this came into law by Ziaul Haq. Before that also we were a country where 95% of the Muslims lived, and there was not this issue of people being arrested, people who were mentally disturbed, young children, a 14-year-old boy whose case I did, where the orthodoxy almost ripped the High Court apart. And I think that they feel that these decisions should be taken in the streets. And that is why a number of people who have simply been accused have been killed. And Salman Taseer's case is one in point, where he did not even say anything against the Holy Prophet, never dreamt of saying anything. He was talking about the misuse of the law, and he was shot dead. I mean, this is the prime example of how this law is being used to persecute people who will not follow a rigid, very militant Islamic agenda here.
Okay, let's go to Shabana Taseer. Shabana, you are the daughter of the governor of Punjab province, the man who was the governor of Punjab province, Salman Taseer. He was killed violently. He was shot dead by one of his security guards. I want to ask you a question about how you feel about Pakistan right now. But first, I want you to listen to what the lawyer for the man who confessed to killing your father had to say. This is Mumtaz Qadri, the confessed assassin of Salman Taseer. This is what he said in his testimony in court. Let's listen.
And when judge asked him that has he claimed any innocent life, he replied that no, with a very force. He said that no, we have not. I have not claimed any innocent life. Instead, that person was an apostate, as he has committed blasphemy. So a person who commits blasphemy goes out of the parameters of Islam. He was an apostate, and he acted as it is prescribed in Quran and Sunnah.
So Shabana, the question is, how do you feel about Pakistan right now?